Okay, looks like we're live. Greetings, everybody who's here watching. I know that the topic I had scheduled and put out in the meeting agenda for today, or whatever you want to call it, TV guide schedule for today, blog schedule for today, was supposed to be computational genetics and a discussion on the possibility of building a IoT sensor that would detect COVID-19. I still think that's a very interesting topic, and we will still talk about that. However, I'm going to schedule that for a future week. I just want to make sure that I'm more prepared to be able to talk about that. And today I'm going to be instead switching it up and talking about the process of putting together the virtual conference, just because I've been thinking about it a lot, been doing a lot with it, and it's just something that's important. It's something that I think a lot of people are waiting for and paying attention to. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Let me adjust the camera here. Live streaming. It's very amateurish in terms of how we get all this set up. Sorry about this. This is kind of embarrassing. The camera doesn't really have a really good mount. There we go. That'll somewhat work. Okay. So let's see. Basically, I'll go through just a couple quick things, and then I'll do a write-up about this. I think that what's really on a lot of people's mind right now is, if you did an event in the past, if you did a physical event, what do we do going forward? What are some solutions that, I know that we can't replace actual physical events. There's definitely very key things that happen in physical events that cannot happen at virtual events. There's not an absolute substitute, but we can still do some things that mimic what happens in a actual event, based upon what features and benefits people are looking for who typically like to go to events. So in talking to people over the years and having run events, I think there are two main benefits that we can focus on. One is just the knowledge that people are looking to gain. And knowledge might be something that is not as valuable to people who are more senior. People who are more senior in a engineering role or in a technical role, they may already have a lot of knowledge. So maybe they're looking for new knowledge in terms of where the market is going or what trends are in place. That type of knowledge might be interesting to senior level people, but to junior level people or people who are just starting or getting started in a new area or a new niche, knowledge is more important to them. And that's part of why I've called my company Knowledge Confrnz's, because I wanted to really cater to that audience and cater to people who are seeking to learn, people who are seeking to learn new technical skills, but also to learn new skills or new thoughts and tidbits about the marketplace. How is the marketplace changing and growing? So that I think is one of the benefits. But the other benefit is basically just human connection and being able to connect with people. And that's certainly the more difficult part of a conference that you really can't achieve as well with a virtual conference. But I think there are a lot of technologies out there, technologies you may already be familiar with, like Slack, which can sort of mimic the experience. And so what I've done as a part of setting up this virtual conference is I've set up a Discord app, which anybody can join. I'm basically just treating this app as kind of a free show floor. And I guess I'll post a link to it below, but if you just navigate through iotfuse.com right now, if you just go to iotfuse.com and scroll down the page, you should be able to just join the Discord app right there. So let me see if I can open up Discord and show you what that show floor looks like right now. And I've actually put together a couple different Discord communities just because I think the conference it's not going to happen for a while. So there's not a lot of clear activity and not a lot of stuff going on in the Confrnz app. But I have another Discord that I started specifically to help gather resources and create a discussion around a clear problem. And that Discord has been very active. And that Discord is about basically bringing people together around 3D printing and micro manufacturing for COVID-19 personal protective equipment for hospitals. So let me just open those up here. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see here. Just let me see if I can change this around. Just a second. Get better at sharing the screen so you don't see a bunch of gobbledygook here. All right, share screen. There we go. Okay. So here we are on the COVID-19, sorry, this is the IoT Fuse Discord. And as you can see, we've got a bunch of people in here. We got 13 people online right now, and we have 32 people who have joined. A lot of familiar names in here. Part of the idea is if we have a virtual conference and we have everybody coming to join this app on the same day, then we should have a nice, fun show floor type experience. And part of what's interesting and fun about Discord is it not only allows, you know, regular chat. Hi, Robbie Paul. I could say hi to Robbie. Not only does it allow regular chat, but there's also voice chat. So we've set up a bunch of different channels that are designed for different workshops that we have coming up. Then we also have this general voice chat here, which you can connect to. And I think anybody who, well, I guess I'm muted right now, but if I unmuted, then people who are in this, if they have their speakers on and they're not deafened, they would be able to hear me talking and giving you this presentation right now. So we could have multiple different voice channels on different topics. I'd love to hear, if you're watching this and you're part of the IoT Fuse community, I'd love to hear what type of voice topics you would like to be seen discussed. We could also set up some meetings and some general voice discussions prior to the conference. We could get together and talk about what's the state of various aspects of IoT going forward. We could have a virtual event last for days, weeks, not just one main day, although the one main day would be a good way to get everybody together on, get a large, you know, critical mass of people together. So that's the IoT Fuse Discord. A lot of people giving introductions and talking. Some people sharing some stuff that they're building. That came from M Pang from Entropic Engineering. So feel free to jump in, drop in some notes if you have any interesting stuff to say. And let me show you the COVID-19 related equipment Discord. So here, which I also encourage you to join if you're interested, if this is up your alley. And I have a link that I've posted to that Discord within the general chat for IoT Fuse. This is a subsection of IoT Fuse and other folks who we found who are interested in manufacturing personal protective equipment and respirators and ventilators for this crisis that we're experiencing. So we just started this a week ago on Friday, and this has been obviously a lot more active in terms of discussion. It has fewer people, but the people who are in this chat are actually physically attempting to do something. They're working on a project. So this is a completely crowdsourced hackathon or a project in a way. And what we've got here, the way we structured this is we put together sort of an order of how things need to be done. And it's almost like a Six Sigma, you know, manufacturing floor that we've set up. So we have need and demand discussion, and then that flows into designs and specifications, which then flows into production And under production, we have people talking about what they're manufacturing, what they're putting together. So Matt Beckler talking about laser cutting, some face shields. I think we have people dropping in, pictures and things that they're creating, 3D printing. So that's all really great. That's really fun to see, people coming together to help the community. Designs and specifications more about people talking about what what they're making. Then shipping and receiving, it hasn't really been super active because there's really just a couple main notes that people need to know if you're in Minnesota. I'm sure different states have different requirements that we could post if this grows bigger and we have people from other states and regions join, which actually we do. We have people in Washington in this group as well. This is basically giving some locations where to ship your equipment. So anybody who produces stuff, they can just ship it, drop ship it here. This came from the government of the state of Minnesota. And then here is, we don't have any field use yet because I guess, who knows, we may not even be able to get a lot of field use feedback because we don't know if people are going to have time. And there's a lot of different stuff being manufactured right now. But I know from having read this, a lot of discussion on here, and encourage you to come in and follow along. It sounds like, from this guy who's a doctor, this guy, Dylan MD, is saying that, people are in certain locations at the point where they're essentially using, whatever they can find, Kleenexes, paper towels, whatever they can do to protect themselves. So I guess the thought here is anything is better than nothing at this point. That might change in the future. There's been some kind of discussion back and forth. We have some folks from the Mayo talking about, hey, we need to make sure these are good specifications. And we have some doctors saying, well, at certain points in time, that may not be as important. It's more about just getting something at this time. So I'm sure that will continue to evolve. So yeah, again, please join IoT Fuse or this COVID-19 related equipment thread. Happy to get you on there. So that's been some of the data we've collected from basically from running these show floors, and they're growing every day. There's people joining all the time, and we're going to continue to put out more messaging about that. Love it if you could just join us and give us your thoughts about how to run this digital conference. But I also want to talk about some of the data behind the actual marketing of the virtual event. How does that marketing look, and how does the marketing perhaps differ from a physical event? So I've got, I think, some really interesting data to show. And let me see if I can put that over here. Here we go. Okay, so basically, this is a Google Data Studio report that our team has put together. This is really super interesting insider information. I don't think a lot of people really watch these streams, so I'm okay with putting it out there. I don't think it's going to hurt a whole lot for me to share this. But basically, what we have here is some tests that we've been running. These are paid social media advertising tests. And this is really looking at last week, having invested in Facebook and Twitter as a way to run some tests and see what kinds of folks are interested in purchasing tickets and what gets people onto a page, what gets eyeballs. And so this first hump here shows how many people went to iotfuse.com/digital, which is a splash page that we put together. So if you look at iotfuse.com digital, you're going to see a splash page, which is different than our main page, where we're really talking to kind of a different audience here on the splash page. We're really talking to just anybody in the world it's a lookalike audience, so it's ostensibly similar to the type of audience that we have who already visits our site, who already buys tickets from the Minnesota area, but we're applying this and we're deploying this to many different geographies across the United States. And this is all a test, but basically we have a different kind of pitch where it's very succinctly and simply letting people know what to expect. And then it's asking them to join our Discord. And then, so that's kind of one strategy, is just get people to come into our Discord. Another strategy is basically, really make the pitch relevant and really talk about essential services and highlight the essential services talks that are going on right now. So we know that a lot of people across the country are thinking about medical devices, food, healthcare, and so we really highlighted the speakers who are relevant to that up front and gave people the ability to go explore a full speaker lineup. And then we're also working on keeping the ball rolling with critical skill building technical workshops. Since this is a lookalike audience, we're basically showing this to the types of people who go to IoT Fuse, who a lot of whom go to the technical workshops, and we're helping them show what other technical workshops we have in store, and they can go and view all those workshops. This is just kind of a sampling. So then we have an additional pitch, and then we have a ticket at $19.95. Now I know the main ticket price we're showing on the website right now is $79. We may change that based upon some of the feedback we get right now. But I'm just going to let you in on a little bit of a secret here. We've got this $19.95 ticket listed, but we also have a digital sale ticket because we don't know what the price point of this offering is to just a random person off the street, particularly somebody who may not be familiar with our brand. So we're offering a $5 ticket as well, thinking that should actually probably be $4.95 or something like that. And then we're also offering a free ticket, so digital free. And we're just watching who clicks, how much they click on the different offerings, and then how much of a close rate do we get on the different price points. And I hate to do free tickets. We gotta test something. We hate to do free tickets. Actually, I just noticed that's an error there. It shouldn't be 50 cents. So I'm gonna have to check that out. But looking at which advertisement is the most effective is kind of the first step. And so that we have broken down here. And we're showing, since yesterday, well, this is actually only yesterday, not today. We're showing how many people went to digital versus how many people went to free versus how many people went to sale. It's interesting because what we're seeing is there's a lot more people that went to sale. This was when we had, I think the majority of this traffic, we'll have to break it down further. I think the majority of this traffic was from Twitter rather than Facebook. But that's partly because Facebook didn't get started until partway through the day yesterday. And it's also interesting to see that, people on Twitter really seem to respond to that digital sale offering as opposed to a digital free offering. They really responded to digital sale in a lot more ratio than, let's say, Facebook users. So Facebook users, it's about 20%, whereas for the digital sale, Facebook users are only about 10%. So maybe we'll find something out here. Maybe we'll find that Facebook users want to sign up for things for free, whereas Twitter is more likely to buy something at a discounted price. These numbers, I don't want you to pay attention to these numbers because these, I think I might have something wrong with my filter here. These two numbers, I think, are pretty solid based upon looking at the dashboards on social media. Then another interesting thing, we've had historically a lot of desktop traffic, through going through this new social media deployment strategy where we're, deploying all across the world. We see a lot more mobile traffic. So we're also having to update the website and update the splash page to correspond to that. And then let's just take a quick look at the geography of where this traffic is coming from. This is constantly changing. So we've only been really deploying in certain cities and certain areas, and I think this geographic map is actually, we have a couple different maps here. Yeah, okay. So this is actually from, and this is filtered in a couple different ways. This is not showing the digital free or the digital sale pass, but this is really more last week's information. But what we had seen from running this ad last week was New York had a lot of interest. Obviously Minnesota, because we're also running the ads here in Minnesota. That's kind of a baseline. But also Texas. There's a lot of kind of North Texas interest in IoT, but really that New York region and then Los Angeles region. Not as much in the Bay Area. We didn't run anything in Seattle. We are now running ads in Seattle because for whatever reason, not sure why we didn't deploy on that region, as well as Denver. We did not run ads. But yeah, if you have any other suggestions of other clusters, other tech clusters that we might want to deploy and feed some information back on, we'd be happy to do that. Yeah, and then there's also, so this is just dialing in just purely onto Facebook, and again, mostly looking at the digital page, not the digital free, not the digital sale ticket. This kind of shifts where the concentrations of clicks come from. Again, you see a lot of interest out of LA and out of New York, but not as much in the Bay Area. So it almost seems to be more based upon just raw population of these areas rather than concentration of tech users. It could also be because maybe Silicon Valley is not as interested in IoT as we think they are. They're a lot more of a software area, less of a physical thing area. So maybe that makes sense. So that'd be interesting to see, again, what types of people and who actually purchases and signs up for these events, and really look at that versus how do they respond to the ads. So that'll be an interesting discussion in the future. Okay, let's see. So I talked about the new splash pages. I talked about the Discord. Talked a little bit about how we're setting up what kinds of data we're collecting. This is just kind of a marketing view on how we're how our different tests have run. This is sort of, just think of this like a PowerPoint presentation. We tested 5 different creative illustrations against each other to see which one was the best, and we got some really definitive results from that. And so that's the test we're running now in this week, whereas we had tested multiple creatives against each other for a week and a half prior. We also did a nationwide test through a bunch of different cities, as I had shown you in the geographic data above, and we found that New York City, Dallas, oh yeah, Boston as well. Boston and LA had high concentrations. Denver we didn't do, Seattle we didn't do, Atlanta we didn't do, so we're redeploying there. And then the cities that did not seem interested, which we did do, as interested as the other one, was Silicon Valley, Chicago, Washington, D.C., which was also interesting. Washington, D.C. has a huge tech scene, but also not as interested in Internet of Things. We also were doing some different bottom of the funnel, top of the funnel testing, and they pretty much showed us what we had expected. And then this just outlines the test I just showed you that we're undergoing right now. We have different kinds of ads that are pointing towards different types of landing pages. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show today. I wanted to give people the capability to peer into the process of building this conference as we go along, almost sort of like an entrepreneurial ride along. I'm hoping to have more podcasts, video casts, whatever you want to call this, along with more blog articles about the software that I have and how we're deploying that, how we're deploying the video. I'll have some messages going out today to our sponsors and speakers regarding how to log in and how to test out the speaker capability from the software we're using. So if you're a sponsor or speaker, look out for that. And then I can broadcast to anybody else what that looks like after we've got some test results back in on that, and as we deploy everything and have it ready for the actual conference itself. So check us out. If you haven't joined already, if you're watching this somewhere out there on the interweb and you haven't signed up for IoT Fuse, just go ahead and check out iotfuse.com/digital sale or digital free. If you want to do a free ticket, that'd be interesting to see what people choose for anybody who's watching this in the various different channels. And drop us a line, drop us a chat, let us know if you have any thoughts on how we can do this, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there.